Well, folks, what is happening? Welcome to Mentality Monsters. Today we are joined by pro boxer and the brains behind Hammer Boxing, Pody McCrory. Pody, thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, no problem. It's been a long time coming.
It has been a long time coming, mate. It has. How did you get on there the other week in Nottingham?
Yeah. Do you know what?
Messy?
It was messy. We were up at 6:30 in the morning, so went straight to the airport, a few beers, and I said that I wasn't drinking because I knew I was going to be like very close to the ring, and I got drunk and ended up. I hopped the fence and jumped in the ring.
Did security try to stop you at all?
No one said anything. I just looked and just hopped, and then I seen Anto and jumped up the ring and then started celebrating. It was class.
What's it feel like? Because it's say you and Anto are the same age. You're both 36. What's it like seeing Anto go on at this stage in his career, the levels of the last year, that he's kind of getting a lot of publicity now, which is completely well deserved.
Yeah.
What's it like to see that there? Because I would say like you're good friends as well, and a fellow Belfast boxer. What's it like to see that there happen, him on the world stage?
Do you know what? It's very inspiring, but it's amazing knowing because when Anto fought for the British title against Ward, he was in the same camp as us, and I was very early in my career, and I just seen anybody that's trained with him see and know his ability and know how good he is, and he never got the opportunity, and then he got that break against, I think it was Cordina. And then, like from then, it's just been back to back massive fights, and he's smashing it, and just to see him like achieve that and know what it means to him and his family, is very inspiring, but also it filled me full of joy. It's amazing.
Unreal. And you yourself, your last fight there against Craig Richards, just looking back on it now, because it's been 2 months or so, has it been?
Yeah. More probably.
More. What's your analysis of that there fight, and how do you think?
Very disappointing, but like, it was a very difficult camp, a very short camp. I never really knew that I was on the card. Like, I knew that I might have been on the card until I went to the first press conference, and Eddie Hearn was sitting there, and he had said, and a big announcement that Pody McCrory's on the card, and I was like, and then.
Is that when you used to talking? There's a video you used to talking?
No, that's the press conference like the week of the fight, but this was like the pre-press conference about 6 weeks out from the fight, and I stand in the crowd, so like there's like the crowd and then there's the inner crowd.
Yeah.
So like I wasn't able to get in there, so I'm standing and like just watching the press conference, and he was like, "I'm Pody McCrory's fighting," and then people started asking me, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fighting."
Yeah.
But I kind of knew, I kind of knew that there was a potential of it happening, but then I must have got done like that morning. I don't know. But again, it was a short camp. In that camp, there was something that played a massive, or had a massive sort of effect on me, like sort of mentally, was when John Cooney, unfortunately lost his life through boxing, like in the Ulster Hall. I was talking to him on the Friday at the weigh-ins, and then I went off to England because I had a fighter fighting on the card. So I went off to England, and then that unfortunately happened, and then after that I just struggled so badly, like because I have 3 young kids, and now one on the way. So we found out that with a kid on the way as well, or we knew anyway, but his death and the way it happened just played my mind so badly, because I found nights that I was lying in bed and thinking, like, if that was me and I never get to meet my child, I just couldn't deal with that like them thoughts. And when you win the boxing like ring and you have them sort of like thoughts in your head, I think it showed in my performance. I was kind of, let's just get through the fight and maybe I'll land that shot, or I'll find that spark, and it just never came. I took myself to England for 10 days during the camp just to try and find that sort of fire and hunger.
Yeah.
And me saying that I shouldn't have been in, I probably shouldn't have been in that fight, it makes me feel bad as well, because I know there's hundreds of people that are paying their money to come watch me fight, but there was a part of me like thinking that crowd and that reaction and the ring walk and stuff would have got me going, and it just never really got me going. And I think if you compare like my performance like in that fight to past performances, like you seen that wasn't like the real me in there, but in the fight, like although I get beat, I think I overcame like a lot of demons. Being back in the ring, getting hit and just just fighting again, like in front of thousands of people. That was also I overcame a lot of demons like in that fight as well. But it was a high level fight as well.
Yeah.
Like he's boxed like the best fighters in the world. So I'm taking nothing away from him. He's an exceptional fighter, but that camp, few injuries, few sort of like mental issues as well. I wasn't in the best position to be fighting.
Like the best version of you was not there at that stage.
No, and you know what? I probably haven't been like at my best from the Belanga fight, and it could be like a result of getting beat, but I don't think so. Will I fight again? I don't know. But there's something like in me that wants me to do it again. That wants me not to leave boxing on my last performance. But I'm 37 next month, and I got to make that choice. I suppose like very soon, because there's events coming up. There's going to be opportunity, and I gotta either switch on or switch out.
See, when you look at boxing and MMA, because there's all like I've always heard this kind of debate about what's more dangerous, boxing and MMA. There does seem to be a lot more fatalities and more longer term injuries when it comes to boxing. When you look at MMA, you'd think, fuck that, there's completely like that's like a barbarian sport compared to boxing, where boxing is very, it's not clean, but it's like a strategic game. You're thinking about it. You're thinking about the next move. If you do this, what's going to happen? Why do you think there is so much fatalities in boxing compared to MMA?
I think I always remember there was a study done, and it was between one of my fighters like whole career. So if we had whatever, I don't know like the number breakdown, but there was a study done that within one 12-round fight, and I think it was like Ward Gotti, so it was a massive fight with like a lot of shots, but there was more headshots landed in that one fight than there was in one of my fighters like whole career. And I think like with MMA, with like martial arts, there's a lot of wrestling, a lot of like takedowns, a lot of kicks, and boxing like solely is just, well, it's really just strikes to the head, and there's some body shots, but it's mainly headshots, and then I think most of the damage is probably done like I said, like the fights
Weight cut and stuff
in the
like
gym,
that there.
in the weight cut, and mostly in the sparring, because like you're sparring twice a week, and some of them spars are as intense as a fight. So I think there's much more strikes or like blows to the head in boxing than there is in mixed martial arts.
See, before any of your fights you have had, so you've had 21 fights. In that time, has there ever been a spar that you have had that is actually like in the camp leading to the fight that's been harder than the fight itself?
Oh well, so obviously in like in pro boxing you get fights where you're just like learning, and some of them fights like can be of a lower standard. So yes, definitely. Like I'd have been in camp for like my second, third, fourth fight against what's known as journeymen, and I'm sparring like some of the best like Ireland has to offer. So yeah, like sparring, I would have never done loads of it because of my age, and because I understand like the risks and the consequences of it. So I never done loads. And I don't think it's necessary either. But I've definitely had harder spars than I've had fights.
Yeah. It's a bit mad now, seeing it's kind of like the boxers who everyone in Belfast has grew up watching, the likes of yourself and Tommy and Tyrone and Mick.
Yeah.
It's kind of like now some of them are on the last roll of the dice, and it's mad, like, but it's like there is some really, really good boxers still coming through, and I think like Belfast will still be on the world stage. But it's like some of the nights out in the SSE and stuff like that there, the Ulster Hall, I mean, even the Davnish, fucking, like I remember always like first fighting the Davnish, and fuck me,
That was unbelievable.
wonder night that was. See, just good, like one thing about Oy, like see, especially because he's a Reds man, he's got all that fan base behind him as well, and anywhere you go for his, like one of his fights, there's a crowd, there's fucking singing, and we went to the Paul Hughes fight there last week, and just I was comparing it kind of in my own head about the atmosphere, the boxing fight. I was going, right, compared to your fight and Richards and the Crocker and Donovan, the Paul Hughes fight was unbelievable. I think the overall night of boxing, the atmosphere of the boxing is better. It's just the entire night through. But see, for that Paul Hughes fight, like that was probably one of the best atmospheres I've ever been in. Like just for his fight itself, even the one before the Sean McCormick fight is like as well. That was really, really good. But the boxing nights, there's no better. See, for like you fought in Germany, in America, in Belfast, in England. Where's the best atmosphere for you?
I think Germany.
Germany.
I brought about 150 people, I think, to Germany, and it was like a small hall, and my fans were like extremely close to the ring, and as I was walking the ring, I was like drowned with booze, and then as I got closer, because my like fans were on the other side of the ring, and as I got like closer, like I started hearing like the cheers, and I suppose like the result plays a massive part, like in my experience. So the 150 people that were there, like for me, and then you had a few there for Kirk Walker, a few there for Kieran Malloy, and they all joined in as well. But the overall like experience and the feeling and the noise, it's something that is going to live with me like forever.
Even in the Berlanga fight, you can hear Pody McCrory, and that's Florida.
Florida, yeah, and full of like Puerto Ricans and Mexicans and I always bring a very loyal crowd and a very loyal crowd, and it's a bit overwhelming, and I think there's a bit of a story like behind that and why it's built. But they always come and they always make noise.
Class. So, bro, I've done a podcast before the podcast, but do you want to take me back just to the very start of your journey in life and just where you're from and what you were like as a young person?
Yeah, so I'm from St James's, one of the greatest areas in the world. So I'm from St James's. I have two brothers and three sisters. From West Belfast. I grew up in probably a time in Belfast where it was difficult with, obviously we still had
post troubles
and vigilante huts and St James's is from like it's like an interface. We have Sandy Row on one side and then St James's the other side, and I kind of see there's still some trouble going on now. But yeah, I grew up. I went to St Kevin's. I went to then Corpus Christi after that, a school that is notorious for being absolutely crazy. And then I went on and I had a lot of sort of jobs, silly jobs. I done a lot of things.
Have you always worked like from a young age?
I moved out. I moved in with a friend at like at 18 and kind of like just.
How was you?
Jumped about, lived here and there, and then.
Where's the worst area you've lived?
I love West Belfast. I would never criticise an area. No way.
That's one of my questions later on too in the quickfire.
No.
Your least favourite area in West Belfast.
My least favourite area. I think the scariest area is Divis, but
I will forgive them that.
It's mad. I've been in a couple of times and there's been stolen cars and everything. So it's crazy. But listen, obviously, growing up in St James's was like for me it's made me like the person I am today.
Yeah. Like I love, see, just in terms of majority of the boxers, I'd say all the boxers are just all from working class areas, and they're just like working class like people. And again, it's another way of actually making a living. You didn't start boxing, so I hear. This is just like from research until you were 15. Is that correct?
Yeah, 14, 15.
14, 15. Yeah. So why so? Because that is kind of considered late compared to some people that have been boxing since they were 7 or 8, then competing since they were 11. Like what took you so long to actually get into that?
I maybe went for about 2 weeks when I was about 10 or 11 with my brother and my dad, but it was a short stint, and then I stopped them for ages, and then so there used to be like a big bus that used to pick up a crowd of guys like from the corner of my street, and it was D. Welch, Rory Dalton, Robbie Devane, two twins or whatever, and they all used to go to the boxing club, and they all kept saying to me like, come on, and I always liked boxing, but I never really went, and so then one day I just jumped in the bus and went, and then we went to St. Agnes's, and that was the start of the journey then. Yeah.
Unreal. And did you just going in at that age? Had they all been boxing already for a few years?
Yeah.
What was it like for you going in against people that at the same age, but their experience is a lot more than yours is?
Yeah. So I think the ones that like stood out was Dave Wilson and Rory Dalton. They were both really good. And then the others, Robbie and twins, and there was a lot of them like we Toad, and there was loads of fighters there. Like, but going in it was grand because I felt like I took to it well.
You always been good in the feet?
Yeah. I played sports. I played Gaelic. I played soccer.
That's a proper guy here. There's soccer.
Soccer.
Soccer, proper guy.
When I say Gaelic, I never like to say people like that.
Yeah.
But soccer, yeah. But yeah, I took to it well, and I think my first fight was like within about 4 weeks.
Within about 4 weeks?
Yeah.
How did you get on there?
I won my first fight, and I could beat my second fight in the final. There was a tournament then called the Boys and Girls Clubs. So my first fight, my first fight was like an exhibition fight up in Sally Gardens up in Boglas. So it was after a few weeks, and I actually won that fight. And then I entered my first competition. I won the semi-final in the National Club, which is in town. It was like upstairs. I think even then they were smoking and stuff in the bars, like still.
At your age, Sean.
Yeah, I know. And then I got beat in the final. But then I started like to realise that I wanted to be good, because I can remember there was 3 of us in the final: Rory Dalton, D. Welch, and myself. And something that always sticks with me is then straight after it, they went out and got a photograph, and they're the champions, and I was like, I want to be part of that. I want to be that champion. And like it's never jealousy, but you do envy them. You're like, I want that. And I think it's good to have that sort of like edge and competitiveness that you want to do better. So then I wanted to be as good as them guys, and I kept showing up, and then I got to about 18, and I started to drift in and out of boxing.
So like you're 18, see when you're 18 you're drifting like in and out. Were you out drinking and kind of, is that something that kind of stirred you away from boxing, or were you caught up in anything?
I was never a mad partier. I was not, like, we would have went out every Saturday to the Fallons, which was like then was like the place to be like. But I was never a mad partier. Like I was out Saturday and home Sunday, or out Saturday and playing Gaelic Sunday.
Yeah.
So I did enjoy the social aspect of it.
Who'd you play for Gaelic?
Then it was ODs, and then ODs folded. I joined St. John's with a friend. It was Bam Neeson. So,
Bam, I know Bam. He
yeah.
actually took me on my first ever PT course.
Okay,
Yeah. Bam's man.
Bam, yeah. So me and him went to St. John's. He was brilliant at Gaelic. He was
Play for Antrim as well,
yeah,
didn't he?
very, very good at Gaelic. So I joined with him, and then again, my dedication to sport was never great. I was very lazy. I have a lazy personality. So I drifted into like sports all the time, and you'll find it with the amount of clubs I've been at in terms of like boxing clubs. Gaelic not so much because I would say that my club is ODs through and through, but them as a club always struggled like for numbers, and then I ended up like going back to ODs, and we done okay. But in boxing and soccer, I always I don't know if I was always looking for a place to fit in or what, but I jumped about clubs all the time.
What did you prefer more at that stage of your life? Gaelic, football, or soccer?
I always enjoyed playing a soccer match. I enjoyed it the best.
What thing's more physical?
because of my my style of playing soccer, I found it physical because I was just a big target man up front and threw myself about.
Have you always been that big in terms of height wise?
Not until I got to about 16, 17. I was always, especially at like 12, 13, I was always small and a wee bit chubby.
Well, kind of a question which possibly because of what you said there, I might know the answer to, but were you disciplined as a kid?
Oh no. And I would still say that I lack discipline now. And people always say to me that you'll have regrets after boxing, and there's a few that I will have, but discipline, like, is one of them, because when I see the guys at the top, you can see that they're super disciplined, and I think that's something that I lack, like, ever so slightly.
Is that something which you kind of try to instill in the fighters now yourself? You know, like if you're over a fighter and with hammer boxing and stuff now, would you try to drill that into a fighter now because of your experiences?
I think you'll find it's a hard thing to be taught. I think
you either have it or don't.
Yeah, and it's probably instilled from a very young age. Toxic. If you look at just like recently, like Ben and Eubank, so they come from a family, like, both dads were world champions, extremely disciplined men, and I think they passed their traits on to their sons and instilled them like into them. And I seen a clip like recently of Chris Eubank Senior and his son, and I think it was like Lennox Lewis, and they're all in a room, and his son wants to fight, and he's saying no, you're not fighting, and Lewis is like, let him fight. And he's like, no, you.
Is this when
like
Junior is
young, and he's like, no, you end up, they could be ugly and stuff, and then like Big Lennox says, why am I ugly? And he's like, no, you're not. So, but I think it's instilled from a young age, and maybe the structure of their life and security that they have around them, but if you want to reach the pinnacle of anything in sport, you have to be disciplined.
If any of your 3 kids say to you that they want to be a pro boxer, what would you advise them?
My son, who's only 7, he's my oldest now, like, and he wants to start training, and I'm trying to put him off it. So we have him in Gaelic hurling, football, or Gaelic hurling, water polo, which he can swim. He's quite good at swimming.
He must be flat out every
day. And you know what? My wife's a machine, because like she's like heavily pregnant. I work most evenings, and she's taking him like the most trains.
Unreal.
So he wants, and he loves soccer as well. He wants to play for Ireland, or he wants to be a pro fighter.
Fuck yeah. He's gonna have, well, obviously he's 7, so he wouldn't have to do it now. But you do hear most people have to make a decision. Like a lot of footballers as well, especially Irish ones, between Gaelic and soccer. Yeah. I think Shane Long has an All Ireland for hurling and stuff like that there. So I think
Conor Bradley as well recently.
Conor Bradley,
he played for a team up there now.
Where's he? He's from Tyrone, isn't he?
Tyrone,
he's a Tyrone man. But like, you know what I mean. You have to make. I think it's that discipline thing. You're going all in. Growing up in West Belfast, what do you think is the worst thing about growing up in West Belfast, like during your upbringing?
I think definitely like the green and orange situation. Like it polarizes people, and like it makes us so divided when we're actually just like the same people.
Yeah.
It's for me. It's quite a sensitive, like, sort of like topic, like, to speak about, because as I say, it's so divided that people are so passionate about it, and
you're gonna offend someone one way, like whether you do good or bad.
But I feel like we come from a place that you can be Irish or British, and it's solely your own choice. But growing up, like, I remember, like, as I say, from like the start of June right through like the August, we have vigilante huts, and like we used to go and like play in them and stuff. And then you didn't really understand sort of like what it was about, but like it's actually it was a post where you looked after like your own area. You had to be a vigilante to make sure that you didn't get attacked and vice versa. Like it's something like you look back on and go like, I was part of that. Like it's insane.
It's like, see when you just think about the normal stuff that happens here, and you think it's so normalized, and just like the stuff that's happened in the past. I'm 28 now, so kind of the 12th and all in our down stopped
Yeah.
when I think I was 16, 17. So kind of like growing up, you used to, like, the 12th was coming up and you used to be able to watch the rats and stuff like that there, and like all that there, and you just think there's nowhere else kind of like in the world that you know that there's going to be kind of like an organised rat on a specific day. And it's just, I think it's just like the history of this place, I think is amazing as well, and the people are amazing, but it's just it's fucking mad as
No,
well.
it's very unique, and I think we still have parts and certain the people in both communities that are still so like stuck on their way, and it's definitely it's generational.
Yeah.
But coming from like West Belfast, I would say I'm a proud Irish like man, like, but
Yeah.
but like, so like the last show, the main event like was Lewis Crocker and co-main event.
Yeah.
We're both friends through sport. He's from Sandy Row, I'm from St James, but which we spoke about earlier on. Like he's a bit younger like than me, but like we're just all the same people. Like it's
One thing which
crazy.
I'm just going to throw out there for the audience, the best thing about being Irish, because my missus is from the Shankill, so she's obviously got a British passport,
yeah.
I've got an Irish passport, and I can just walk on through the things for the EU checks in the airports, and she's just standing there in the queue for ages, and I'm just sitting there.
I was on holiday like last year, and my sister-in-law or is my brother-in-law. So one of them had a British passport, and we all had Irish, and they had to go like a big queue. So we were all standing there, and we had to wait on them like at the other end. It was
It's mad. Like, they're actually, I think they're talking about opening up an Irish passport office up here, because the amount of people that are actually applying for it. I think it's definitely people on both sides as
Yeah,
well,
of
just
course.
because, again, it's fucking, if it's like they're gonna save you a load of hassle going abroad, like, fucking,
Yeah.
like, and why wouldn't you?
If you love the thrill of winning big, then you need to check out RKings Competitions, the UK and Ireland's top spot for incredible praise competitions. They're giving you the chance to win luxury cars, dream holidays, top tech, and even life-changing cash prizes, all for a fraction of the cost. And what's the best part of this? Entering is super easy, so you just need to go on, select your competition, grab your tickets, and then you're in for a shot at winning big. With guaranteed winners in every draw and some of the most amazing prizes out there, RKings is the place to be if you want to turn a little into a lot. So, what are you waiting for? Head over to www.rkingscompetitions.com now and grab your tickets, and you could be our next big winner. That's RKings Competitions, where dreams become reality, and enter today.
So, bro, your amateur career, what was that there like for you? Did you have a successful like amateur career in your eyes, or?
I think I didn't do as well as I should have done. I won like an Ulster title, which here is like seen as a good thing to win. But I never won an Irish title, which is always a big regret of mine. And as a pro, I would probably like to win an Irish title, but am I beyond that level? Dropping back down to that, I don't know. Like, is it something that I want to?
What age were you when you won the
Chief.
Ulster Elites?
26.
26.
26 after a 4-year break. 26, maybe 27.
What did you do in between your 4-year break?
The way jobs and I met my like wife young. We're so opposite because she's extremely smart.
Yeah.
She's like a master's degree. She's very driven to like her career and whatever. Where I was quite sort of like what will be and I never tried in school. Maybe more. Maybe I don't know like if I want to speak with this, but maybe more because my like of my like speech impediment. I think my school days were affected because I never like wanted to ask for help. I never wanted I never wanted to be like in the spotlight. So I just drifted to school
Yeah.
and never tried. But I don't know. Like in terms of boxing, my amateur career was okay. It was okay.
Just while we're on that there as well, because it's something which I remember you coming out and speaking about it. And then there's also a player for Leeds, Luke Ainsling, and he came out and spoke about it as well. And again, for this year, just for a bit of backstory, like I've had a stammer throughout my entire life, and it's something which I actually to do this year. Last year when I came up with the idea, I had to work on. I had to speak to like a psychologist for 4 months just.
Okay.
And we went through techniques and stuff like that. It was over Zoom, and we went through techniques and stuff like that there of how to actually control the stammer and why it's happening and stuff like that there. And it was mad because I wouldn't have been able to stand up in front of a room and give the likes of a talk, and then now I'm doing the likes of this year, so I can really understand where you're coming from with that. And how did it make you feel as a young person?
It was always something that I've like been extremely conscious about. I've only ever really asked for help, like for it once, and it was in third year. I asked it was like, he's the head of year, and I said, can I get any help with this? Like can I speak to somebody? And he says, yes, leave it with me. And I never heard anything back from it.
Cheers.
So I just never asked for any help then. I think through boxing maybe and doing interviews and speaking to more people, I'm becoming a bit more confident and learning wee things and tricks like myself, like saying like it can help me move on to the next word. I asked for help once and I never got it, but through boxing, through becoming a bit more confident and doing more things, I guess I think it's got much better. But it definitely affected me. Like in school, there was I never really got much trouble from like other kids about it, but there's a few times that I remember, and there was one time some guy like he made a joke about it, and he was a bit of a hard man like in school then, and it still sticks with me because I still see him now, and that was maybe 20 years ago, more 25 years ago, and I still see him now, and I still be like, you dickhead, like if I was my son and I knew like someone like was doing that to him, I would take that extremely bad. But I see him now, and as much as he probably like never really knows about that, but that effect that it had on me, like I was like maybe like in a shell already, and his remark, like it put me back even further, and again, there was another one where it's like simple stuff like for people like standing up like in a classroom and reading out a paragraph, stuff like that. Like used to go around the class and like it was coming to me and the tightness and tension. I was like, shit, what am I going to do here? And simple stuff in life, like even like I would never go for a job in like a call center or an office job simply because they got my speech and for some people it like it's funny and I can see the funny side of it, but like for me, like it's not.
Like I remember, I used to kind of sit there and I used to take it really, really thick when someone like made fun of it, and that there was like I was going to myself like I can't help this. Like do you think that I want to be like this here? And I used to take it really, really thick, and then it used to be in my head. I was going even like the stupidest of people. I know it's bad saying the stupidest people, but even the stupidest people can get up and say something and stuff like that there. And it used to be like in my head, and the maddest thing was I worked in call centres for like 4 years, but there was loads of times where I had stuttered on the thing and then I would say sorry, it cut out there. And because they'd be going, hello, is there anybody? And I'd be like trying to get it out, and it's mad. It is mad. Like, and a lot of people actually don't understand kind of the psychological pressure and toll it does take on somebody. Even ordering a taxi or Chinese, fuck me, all the S's in a Chinese, like you're fucking.
I've seen like days where I just like they've been on the phone and been talking and just went very good and just hung it up, you know, and just silly stuff. But again, the effect that it has on your life, then like after that, like me never achieved anything in school. I think that like my speech impediment played a massive factor in that again, and it's because I let it, because I kind of like let myself drift to the back of the class and just sit there. And
would you stammer on the drink?
No,
I would never. Like,
I know some people like that I know. Once they drink, it becomes very difficult. But like it's strange because my granddad, he had a bad speech impediment. Two of my uncles have a speech impediment. And I always hear people saying that like it's not hereditary, but like a lot of us is. But my granddad was bad, and he liked to be drunk. And when he drunk, he used to take the house phone out of the wall, and he wouldn't ever answer the house phone. Like.
phone. It's mad the way it's mad the way it works. Like, because you were saying there about your like your family members. My uncle he would have a really bad, and everyone says, "Fuck me, you're the double of like your uncle Jared," and he'd have a bad stammer as well, and then the guy do as well. And I'm just going,
I don't want to really get.
I was just like, I've caught it from him. But bro, so 26, you win the Ulster Elites, and then what age were you? 28 when you went pro?
I was 28 then when I signed, and then a month before, or a week before my 29th birthday,
Who did you sign for?
Actually, so it was strange because I signed with a guy called Caine Farrell. He's from England. He's actually now coaching Dubois. He's Dubois' the coach, who's now the champion of the world. But it was kind of then I was 28, and I was kind of I always wanted like to give pro a go, but no one really gave me a chance. Not that I deserved that chance, but it was like, why do you want to go pro? Like your amateur career was crap, like whatever. Like so it was sweet, but when I won the Ulster Elites, I briefly spoke to Mark Dunlap about like signing pro. I didn't want to because I wanted to try and fit in the Commonwealth Games. So that ship sailed, and then when I wanted to go pro, there was Mark Dunlap, who I did text and didn't get a reply, and then there was maybe MGM was just starting then. But apart from that, there was nobody like to sign with. Pat McGee, who again only signed really good fighters like Anton Kachi and Tommy McCarthy, so I couldn't have went to him because he only signed like the elite amateur guys. So Caine Farrell had signed Jared Healy and Joe Hillerby and like a few others, and I was like, I'm going to text him. So I texted him, and he said, "Bro, I'm coming to England, I'm coming to Ireland next week. I'll come see you spar." So he came, I sparred, and then he says, "Yes, they'll sign you." So I signed with Caine Farrell, and then he was having his first show in Belfast, but I was getting married in March 2017. So when I was on honeymoon, he had his first show, and I couldn't fight in that, which then led to like what I think was like the start of my career. I didn't fight in that. Then I got an opportunity on the SSC card. It was Ryan Burnett's first world title fight, and I sold like 250 tickets, probably like tickets that I wouldn't have done in a small hall show.
Yeah,
and that's where things started for me. Like the fan base, the friends and family who then sold on to their friends and family, and once you start selling tickets and it's noticed, other people and other promoters and other managers then start to want to party.
Yeah. How important is it at the start of your career to sell tickets?
Massive. And now me obviously like doing it myself and doing like small boxing, it's so important that you can sell yourself so early in your career. Because if not, you won't get opportunity. Even if you're really good. If you're really good and someone invests in you, then you have a chance. If you're okay and can sell a lot of tickets, you'll get that chance, which I think like was me. I was okay, but I could sell tickets, I could shift tickets, and then I started knocking people out, and that's what got me. Then same with MTK, then which was the place to be, which was the people putting on the shows, and that's where I built my relationship with the likes of Jimmy Conlon and so forth, which I think has changed my career. Also,
did you ever go over to the gym in Marbella?
No, never. The only I have very few dealings with the kind of, because I was only seen as a ticket seller.
Yeah.
All them trips and camps was all for the main guys.
Yeah.
And the guy was never that guy. I was always take him on because he sells tickets.
So your 12th fight, was Falls Park, post COVID as well.
Yeah.
So that there was 2021, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you fought that Russian. I'm not even gonna.
Gorakov.
I looked at his name and I goes, nah.
Nah.
I'll just leave it.
Sergei Gorakov. Yeah.
But you won the WBC belt. What was that like? Falls Park. It's kind of like a round circle moment as well. Like you're fighting in front of your own people, the people at West Belfast, the people you love. It's always better to do it in front of your people. What was that like the day?
It was amazing. It was amazing. Now, it wasn't as good as the first fella, which was maybe 2019, I don't know, 2018. McCollum fought. He was due to fight the Russian and was called off. I fought Steve Collins Jr. Steve Collins is a big name in Irish boxing. His son, who was a rugby player, then started boxing, and he was decent. So I fought him, and I won my first belt then. It was the BUI Big Celtic, which for me was like, it was like a world title then. I ran in the ring like celebrating. But then I just kept winning, and the step ups, I started dealing with them like fairly well. But then we came to my 12th fight against Gorakov, and he was a dangerous version. He was a come forward, tight guy. Yeah. He had that kind of like Soviet look about him, kind of strong looking, physical, and he could punch a bit. And he just stopped the guy who was 28-0, and the odds were close. And it was the first time like in my career like where people started to think that I probably could have got beat. And I went in and I boxed his head, and when I got that win, it was a great moment like in my career, because it was then people started like thinking like I could probably do something here.
What age were you at that stage?
20, 30, 32 maybe? 31, 32, yeah. So I have so many moments like in my career where I look back and go, it was a great moment. Like in my 5th fight, I fought Sean McGlinchey, who I'm actually now friendly with, but we fought in the Ulster Elite final. I beat him. He then fought me in a qualification for the Commonwealth Games, and he went and got a bronze medal. So I fought him as a pro then, and that win was a big win for me. The Steve Collins win was a big win for me. The Gorakov win at the Fela was a massive win for me. But outdoor, the Black Mountain, like behind you, the open air event, it was lashing. The show was nearly getting called off. We were putting on wee socks to get in the ring and stuff in the ring. But they got all added to the atmosphere. And then when you look out and you see people, like, when I look out, I nearly know everybody.
Yeah.
It's a like surreal feeling.
I'm guessing that night you had a few beer, straight to the fans.
Kind of, do you know what? We kind of, especially in Ireland, like we have this thing where you fight and then you have a celebration. And I don't know if it's probably like the right thing to do, because you've just went through a fight and took blows to the head. You should probably just go home and like and rest. But after every win, I've celebrated it well.
Where would be your local now?
I love ODs, which is my local club. And the Devonish as well, because I think I live close to that.
Devonish is always a spot, like especially for the football, and the food's decent as well. Like, so you can't really
see the refurb. See, like Jim and like the lads, like the refurb that they've done on the Whiteford and on the Devonish is.
I haven't been to the Whiteford yet.
Go to it. It's unbelievable.
I remember going
pool tables and stuff in it. Nice class.
Is it sports bar? No.
Sports bar.
Sports bar.
Upstairs, all pool tables and dartboards, and then you go downstairs and it's class bar. Like.
I remember going there for like before Clinville matches and stuff like that. There, just because you could walk down like butcher after. And I was always great, but always murder though. So probably still the same.
It's nicknamed pre. It was away from myself, but like pre that, I worked at it. I worked like as a doorman. And it was called the Fight Fort.
The Fight Fort.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be like the scariest looking guy, and I put on like a bit of weight now, but then I was even lighter, thinking slimmer, and being a doorman was like, how are you going to put me out? I'll put you out. No,
lights out. So, bro,
yeah.
Your 15th fight.
Yeah.
Frankfurt. Tell me about just the entire experience, like your fight camp, pre-fight, ring walk, everything.
Yeah, no. Frankfurt, as we said earlier, it's something that's going to live with me like forever. We were just getting ready to fight for the European title, and I'd been out of camp, and then I just started camp for about 3 weeks, and we were just about to announce the European title in Galway on a Cameron card, and that weekend that we're going to announce it, then Jimmy phoned me and says, "Listen, we've been given like an offer. You have to move up and weight to light heavyweight and fight for the IBO like world title." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, Leon Bunn." And I looked at him, and he was like 18-0 or whatever, and I was like, "Shit, right, okay." The kind of thing about it, what's the money like? Like we compare like what I was getting in Galway, to what I was getting here, and then the opportunity. He said, "Listen, I've told him that you're not in camp, that you haven't been training, and you're out of shape. But we know that I've been training to get ready for the European title." So I then accepted the fight, and it was announced that I was fighting. Now, the IBO title or like world title wouldn't be seen as by some people as like there's 4 belts and then there's the IBO.
Yeah.
But for me, it's a world title.
World title.
Yeah. Some people like I'll disagree, but I don't care. I went to Frankfurt, and it was announced, and then 4 or 5 family members they said like we'll go watch you, and then it was 8 or 10, and then it was friends and family, and then it just built and built and built, and ended up about 150 people that went. So I went over a few weeks before, or a few days before them, and it was me, Jamie, and Colin McGuigan, and Dee and Andy and whatever, and then Big Sean Crow, and we walked about the whole of Frankfurt. It's actually quite a rough city. It's friggin' like you go
World
down.
class, I'd say.
Like you go down in the city and there's like a red light and a blue light like place and stuff like, and there's like just small crackheads everywhere. It's a and I think it's the financial capital of like Europe as well, actually.
Yeah.
But the build up to it, it was like surreal, because I was sitting then like my first proper like press conference is like his main event, and I'm sitting next to Jamie and this Sutherland, or sorry, Callie Sutherland, and it's like they're speaking in German. I don't know what they're all saying, and then we go to the fight. This is like probably the part that like will live with me. So we're going to the fight. I get out of the taxi, or like the van, and the guy like was videoing it, and he's walking backwards, and he falls over. I go, "Sorry, mate." He says, "Just slow down." I said, "Right, okay." I was like, "I'm gonna fight here," but I start hearing this noise like, "Oh, Pody." I was like, "It sounds like they're outside," but obviously I didn't know the venue, so I just heard all this mad noise. But I just thought they were so loud that you could hear them like on the outside. But I found out that the bar was actually on the side and it was outside. But I walked in the venue, and I just seen a big line of people like doing the Congo, like around the ring. They're all hopping around the ring, and there's tricolours, and it's all my friends and family just going around the ring. And the Germans are all like took back. And then it comes to the fight, and like as I say, all my the people, they were just to the left, and they are going mental. And then we're fighting. I drop him a few times, and he starts to come back into it. And then I drop him again, and the fight experience that night, I think that version of me would still be unbeaten now. But again, it's all it's all hindsight. But then I got the stoppage win, and it's electric. They erupt, I erupt, I jump in the ring. People they start jumping on me, and then we go and drink for 2 days straight.
What was kind of the aftermath like of it? Like, was there much talk of going on like for other world title shots?
Yeah.
Or
So whatever happened, Wazerman were meant to have like an option on my next fight, which meant they were entitled like to promote like my next fight. And I did want to fight. My Colin then was fighting here on the 10th of December or something along those lines. So I fought 6 weeks later because I wanted to be part of that event. And looking back, it probably wasn't the best thing, because I hurt my hand on that fight. The gloves that I wore was the first time that I wore that brand, and they were quite like thin, which probably wasn't good for him, because I ended up like just cracking his head. But so I carried it like an injury in that fight, and then that injury just kind of like recurred for about 18 months after that, just recurring, and my camps weren't as good, my sparring wasn't as good, and I think I should have like maybe took a rest. But I was thinking at my age, I got to strike when the iron's hot, because I just want a big belt, and the walkout on my show, or like on the fight 6 weeks later, is the best walkout that I'll ever like remember. I was fighting a 8-0 like Cooney, and it wasn't a massive fight, but it was on
Where
a big,
was it?
It was at the SSC.
SSE.
Yeah. Who did Mick fight that night? Mariaga. I think it was Mariaga, maybe. Anyway, I was walking out and it was just like I'd just come back like from Germany, and it was like the homecoming, and like the noise is something that I've never heard before.
Is the SSE the best place you fought in Ireland?
I don't know, because I look at some of the fans like at the Dadnish, and because it's low ceiling and small, it's amazing as well.
Like
And
a
then
cauldron?
yeah, and then the first field was special as well. The first field was the outdoor event, like the ring walk, everything about it, walking out in grass, the Falls Park, a place where it's up the street from St James's, so I grew up in it. I ran about in it, so there's so many different reasons and different experiences to why. But my aim, as I said in pro, was the winning Irish title, and the fight once at the SSC. So fighting there was extremely special.
You've fought there numerous times now. Like
Yeah,
you've definitely ticked that off.
5 or 6, like.
And 5 or 6. Would that have been your best kind of SSE experience? The one 6 weeks after?
Yeah. That walkout was, but I think when I stopped a guy called Pierbon, who was a world title challenger, who fought some of the best fighters in the world. When I stopped him, it was very special as well.
Do you enjoy camp?
I don't overly enjoy camp because I've always still worked, so I'm still up at 5:30 in the morning to go to work at 6, and then I gotta go training. It's twice a day, and I go back to work that evening. I do school runs. I try to fit find time for my family and kids, and my wife and kids, and they take a big hit because they don't get the best version of me. They get a tired, lethargic, maybe snappier version of me, which they don't deserve. So I don't overly enjoy camp. I enjoy fighting more than I enjoy camp.
I know camp takes a lot out of you, especially with the weight cut and stuff like that there, mentally and emotionally. Have you ever went into the ring 100%? Or are you always just a bit off?
I don't think you're... And I would be ever so slightly a pessimist. So I don't think I ever give myself the best chance. But looking back, like the build up, like the Germany, the way I was born, on the build up, like the Germany was probably like the best me.
Best you. Berlanga.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, because I'd say that's different to kind of anything you've experienced before, just in terms of the opportunity which was going to follow as well. So how do you think that fight went for you? Like I know it was a 6-round stop, like a 6th round stoppage, and the overall experience of it.
The overall experience, like, is an experience again that's going to live with me like forever. Main event on a matchroom card, like the zone, like sitting next to Eddie Hearn, who in my first fight, like never knew my name. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it was like a full circle moment. Me sitting main event, the zone, USA, making decent money, fighting one of the stars like in the division. Again, that experience like I live with me. But in terms of the fight, he surprised us because he came out and he went on the back foot, and he was much better at the controlling distance than I thought.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be there to fight, like in the hit, and I thought that I had been the one that was going to move. So then that didn't happen, and then I think at the end of fourth, he caught me a really good body shot, and I was right on the bell. So I then went back to the corner and sat down, and I kind of like I was fine, but what I found out is when he was walking back to his corner, Jimmy was sitting like directly behind it, and he had said to his corner, "I've got him," which I didn't know that. So then when he starts to get the momentum, it's then hard to get back because he's so physical, he's so strong, he's so big. Like one of his team had told like my team that he was 205 pounds into the ring. So given that we weigh in at like 168 pound, him being 205 is insane. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do it legally. I don't know, like 205 pound. But listen, that's what they said to us.
What were you going back into the ring?
I was probably 185.
185.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Still big, like, but
that's a massive difference.
I think at the height I got the 190, but I was just out there like knocking water. So I think I probably walked in the ring at about 185. But again, the experience, seeing my friends and family like ringside and the people like around me and my team and Dee and who's James's mom, who's my wife's cousin and stuff, like we're all there. We're on the big stage. We're like main event, and like in America is it's a proud moment for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, the result didn't go my way, and on the day of the weigh-in, I found out that it was a final eliminator for the WBA, like world title. The champion of that was Canelo, who he ended up taking on the fight. So like you think that one lucky shot could have led to life-changing money. Like I heard reports that he got like something like 10 million to fight him or something like that, just dollars. So
Yeah.
I obviously wouldn't have got that, but I mean, I would have been in the mix for
Yeah.
like for them kind of names, and I was so close, but so far.
So, see, for the Berlanga fight, did you go into this fight any different than any of your last fights?
Well-
Just because what was possibly on the line?
It was the first. Was it maybe? It was the first fight where I was a big underdog. Like I think on the bookies, I was 7-2. He was 1-4 or something. But when you like just look at his name and his like in his resume, he had like, I don't know, what was it, like 16 first round knockouts back to back, like. So like you know what you're facing.
That's insane.
Yeah, you know what you're facing. And it's the first fight where I started to get a bit of hate, and it was more on the back of him, because I've never seen a fighter that get so much grief and hate like in my life. It's just like you just go on social media and he puts up like any post and it's like, Bumlanga, you're useless, you ran from Canelo, like, and because of him and I was announced to fight him, then I was the Uber guy. I was the guy that worked in the local gym, which I am, but sure, it doesn't matter. Like, I took so much hate, like I'm a bum, I'm shade, I'm crap, whatever. Like, and I took hate off the back of fighting him, and it was my first experience of that. But
How did you handle that?
when you get like when there's people out there, they calling you shade and a bum and whatever, like, and these people are
Sitting behind their computer.
they're irrelevant. They're irrelevant to me, like, but you're still like, freak me, what's that about? Like,
They probably wouldn't say it to your face too as well. Like if they're standing in front of you.
I've never done anything to them, man. What's going on?
100%.
But it was more an attack at him, but they attacked me. They were calling me like the bellboy at the local shop and all that sort of stuff. Like, and I was like, what's that about? Like,
Weirdos. Absolute weirdos. How did you initially handle the defeat? Because it was the first one of your your pro career.
I spent a few days like in Florida and I enjoyed it, like with my friends and family. But coming home, like they realised that you get beat, and I was 35 then, and I was kind of like, what's next? Like what I do, and then it was kind of a few demons there. Like maybe I am that, like I'm not that guy. I'm not cut out for fighting, and but then when you sit back and kind of like analyze what you've just done, like as I said, Florida main event, big show. It's these things happen. People get beat every week. Like in boxing, you know, like every boxing show, there's maybe 5 winners and 5 losers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's but when it happens to you, I didn't deal with it like overly well. First defeat, fight 19. It was a bit of a soul searching, like sort of like stage in my career.
Would you be your own worst critic?
Yeah, because I know that there's so much more things that I could have done like better, and give me a better chance at boxing. Like realistically, I've never been a full-time fighter. I'm a part-time athlete, a part-time like worker. Maybe ideally I would have been in a full-time camp, whether it be here, whether it be across the water, like in England somewhere. There are things that I have to like live with, like myself, because I know I've never given myself the best opportunity. I haven't like prioritized like recovery, like prioritized even training, because getting up at like 5:30 in the morning like to go to work isn't like prioritizing.
Yeah.
Missing sessions because I have to do things just in the like in everyday life isn't
Still have to survive.
isn't like prioritizing boxing. So that again, that's something that that I have never given myself like the full like chance to achieve what I could have achieved.
What led you to go on to start hammer boxing?
So boxing is a sport that I'm passionate about and what I love, and coming from like small hall show and making it to events like Florida, like main event in the SSE and stuff like that. I think I've experienced like it all, and then there was a few like Owen and stuff, and Jared Hughes and whatever, and there was a few guys that I think I could have helped, and with there was a company called Boxing Ireland, I think, yeah, and they were managing and promoting shows in Belfast, and they folded, and there's a big gap, which now like I started like the build again with Jay Byrne with Colin Sports and with myself and stuff, but it's a sport that I'm passionate about, and I want to stay involved in, and I think boxing management is what I'm going to do.
Do you think is that you fully immersed in like in that now? Is that if you do call quits your like fighting career, is that what you're going to get your head into fully, full time?
Potentially. Like there's a few options because I'm by trade I'm a personal trainer. I've been doing it now 6 years. So there's ideas of maybe like going out my own and open up like my own gym. I've had ideas of starting like a hammer boxing stable, just like having my own gym and coaching and managing and promoting like all from the one place. And then there's other things, but at the minute it's only small. I only have 4 or 5 fighters, potentially like another few coming on board, but I don't want to make it too big to where I can't give each fighter the right opportunities that I think they deserve. So at the minute it's going to continue to be small. If you ask me now, like would I fight again? I would. My initial feeling is yes, but again I gotta make that decision, and the fight, if I do fight again, has to be right. I don't think it can be like a middle road fight where it's a big risk fight for very average money, because obviously I'm coming off the back of the feet. So it's either a building fight for that fight next, or it's just a big fight and roll the dice. So I don't know. I'll leave that up to like Jamie and sitting down with him and discussing. And again, I have my 4th baby due in 3 weeks, so that's something that I have to take into the consideration as well. So hammer boxing, it's gonna continue to be what it is. I've done a couple of small hall shows, or well, I've done one small hall show. I will do another. We're in the process of planning our next show. So at the minute, it'll continue to be what it is.
Have you went to anybody for any advice? Just about starting hammer boxing? Is there anybody that's helped you just kind of give you advice?
Like definitely Jamie Conlon, because he's the guy that manages me still. So I think he's been a big help. He's probably been like the figurehead in Irish boxing like management and promotion for the last few years. And if you looked at the way that he's guided me from maybe my 4th or 5th fight, I think the proof's in the pudding. Getting a fairly average fighter like to the almost the very top of the sport. It's been like great work like from him. So I do lean on him like for advice. I do lean on him. I used his like promoter's license to run my own show last time, and I will do that again probably. We're talking about doing something like together. So boxing, hammer boxing, whether it be in Colin Sports where I go next, I would love to work alongside them as well. So I've always been a very indecisive person, but I'm now at a critical stage in my life and my career where I gotta be more assertive.
Yeah. Jimmy Conlon, definitely the hardest man to ever like get a hold of. Anytime, like we've been texting for about 2 months, trying to get a date, and he's just busy man. He's always away doing something, but hopefully
he is very, very good at podcasts. He's a good speaker. I done a Shane Todd's podcast with me and him, and again I was leaning on him because obviously a podcast, it's not my most like comfortable like place to be, but
Yeah.
I was leaning on him for like stories and stuff, but like it was great, and I built up a great friendship. I was at his wedding, and I would say we're more friends than like a business relation.
Yeah. Last question, just before we go into the quickfire questions. For any young fighters that, or people in general that are struggling with self-doubt, what would your message be to them?
Do you know what? I'm probably the wrong person like to ask this because as I said, I'm a pessimist. But the advice would be, if you truly believe in yourself, fully invest in it. Like, as I say, if it's just because I'm boxing, I'm gonna like relate it back to boxing. But if you're starting and it's like a small hall boxing, see it as an investment. Believe in yourself. Commit to it. Fully commit to it, because you're a long time retired, and especially in like individual sports, like more than anything, and physical sports, football, boxing, whatever, you're a long time retired. So in that short like space of window, like whether it be 10, 15 years, fully commit yourself. Believe in yourself, and every day you wake up, just tell yourself that you're going to be the best.
You called yourself there just before we asked that question an average boxer, which I would say you're not like an average boxer. You're like a very good like fighter.
Yeah.
Do you find it hard to give yourself good not criticism, but talk about yourself in more of a positive light, or do you think it's easier to kind of criticize yourself and not give yourself the kind of maybe the plaudits that you actually do deserve?
Yeah, like listen, my achievements have probably been, I think I've said it before, I'm an overachiever. I think I've overachieved like in my career, because of maybe it's lack of self-belief, and lack of sort of ability to speak about myself in a positive light, and it could come from a bit of like childhood trauma. I'm not saying that I have like that I had a bad upbringing, but things like the school days, like my speech impediment, it all just builds. Like, so I don't like to speak about myself in a positive light. But again, a bit of advice to everybody, like, and again, I'm probably not the right person like to give it, but love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, you'll find it hard like to get someone else to love you. And that's why I say I have to give my wife like big plaudits, because I'm probably the most I would say the hardest person to live with, because I never give praise to anybody or to myself. So listen, but being a pessimist, being a person that struggles with self-belief, it can be hard to live with.
100%. How important do you think your wife is to your success, just in life?
Yeah, massively. 'Cause, listen, she stuck by me in stages in my life where like most people like would have walked away. And as I say, she's a very successful woman. She's a great job. She still works full time. She has 3 kids, soon to be 4. She's heavily pregnant, and as I say, she's a fabulous woman. She's a great mum, a great wife, and she's been a massive part of me. She's always said to me, even when I stopped boxing, get back at it, get back doing it and stuff. And I was like, no, I'm alright. But she stuck by me through thick and thin.
Unreal. We'll go on to the quick fire questions. So,
Yeah.
your favorite boxer of all time?
Muhammad Ali,
Your favorite Irish boxer?
Carl Frampton,
Best up and coming boxer?
right now. Like in Ireland,
Yeah, in Belfast. One
Belfast?
that you know.
Barry McReynolds.
Pody McCrory. Kevin said that as well last week.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like the likes of Caine and stuff, they're beyond the up and coming.
Yeah.
They're the now. So yeah, but
Seen Kakachi speak about Barry.
yeah,
Yeah.
very very good fighter.
So your favorite takeaway?
Pizza.
Where from though?
as you can see.
Pizza guys, is it? Or
I have to
pizza
give
crew?
a shout out to Falone's because the boss man's he's a boyo, but there's quite a few. Pizza Go's nice, Pizza Guys is nice, but I'm a fan of a call him is it like an oven or like a coal or the wood fire.
Ah, yes.
I'm a, like
Very good.
I'm a fan of wood fire pizza.
Do you ever go to see Little Wing on the
Yeah, I hear it's
Little-
great, and they do like massive pizzas as well.
Little Wings?
I've never been to it.
We went to the one in Hollywood last night.
Yeah.
Went to a beach, chilled out all day, tried to make a barbecue, burnt everything. So we just go right fucking
Little Wings.
straight to Little Wing. Unreal.
What's your toppings? What do you get?
See, if I was to go and I get to pick my own ones,
Yeah.
I'm going for barbecue base. I'm
Okay.
going for
yeah.
Cajun chicken, bacon, jalapenos, peppers, bit of red onion, and then garlic drizzle on top.
That sounds like my type of pizza.
Ah, bro, that's just you need jalapenos. See the spice. I do like a bit of a kick off it.
Oh, I do.
The way I eat it is, I'll get my slice, I'll put a gouge on in it, and then I'll roll it up, and then just like dip it in the garlic. So
I've
it's
never
just-
done that before, but
like I need to get.
I might try
sides.
that.
I'm not joking. Fuck. Oh. I think we make it a pizza later. If we do, I'll send you a photo of just
Yeah.
a tutorial of it.
don't want to. I am sitting heavy at the minute.
Your like favorite movie?
Shawshank Redemption,
Shawshank. Do you have a favorite Irish movie?
the one that shakes barley.
What's your spot? Show. Your like favorite series?
I like Power.
Power,
Yeah, and I also liked Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. Book.
I don't read.
Don't read. Your death row meal. 3 courses. Drink included as well.
Steak.
Steak for your starter or for
No, no.
main? Main?
Steak. No,
Steak.
I would go. I'm a fan of the butter mushrooms. I would get a steak with some garlic side, like chips or like potatoes, loads of pepper sauce, and my dessert would be a cheesecake.
What flavour?
I like Mandero. I like white chocolate and raspberry as well.
What's your
Okay.
drink?
If it's my last one,
Yeah.
straight whiskey.
Straight whiskey. Straight in the hatch. And then I've already asked you your least favourite area in West Belfast. So
I love West Belfast as a whole, but
scariest of us.
Scarious. That was
Who do you think, in your opinion, is the best comedian boxer?
Paddy McDonald's not going to be happy here, but Shane Tall was quite good. Sean Haggerty was quite good, and Mickey Bartlett was surprisingly good.
Mickey Bartlett. I was actually, because like Mickey was on when I done the one last year, the Andy Malone and fucking Chris Suter.
Yeah.
I done that there one, and Andy Malone rang me and says, right, you can fight this fella here who's a boxing coach, or like Mickey Bartlett. And I just says Mickey Bartlett. I was just like, like just cause who he is, and I was just like, it'd be good crack.
He was
It'd be
surprisingly good. He think me out of a like Philly shell going on like.
nice.
Yeah.
And here, he's big lad, but he can move quick. I've saw videos of him.
I coached the first Canadian boxing league event, so I coached Paddy McDonald, who was and Sean Haggerty, who was decent.
So you can have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive. Who are you going for?
See these questions, I always go like, who would you say? Let's see. I think, interestingly, I would love like Muhammad Ali. I met Joe Frazier, so it would be interesting to have both of them at the same table because I know there was a lot of like shit going on there. I would love to see them speak, and I don't like because like I'm an Irishman. Someone like James Conley or something along the lines, like
yeah.
just to like
Fuck,
delve
that'd
into
be
to what actually happened.
Muhammad Ali just sitting there not understanding a word
Yeah.
of what he's saying.
What's the story?
The biggest character in boxing that you have met?
That I've met, Tyson Fury probably. He's
Tyson Fury.
Yeah. Fury's a massive character in boxing, like world like superstardom.
Was he sound?
Yeah. I met him a couple of times. I met him actually in the bubble when I was due to fight in England, and I had a like I didn't get an issue like an injury, but I've got a couple of photos with him, and there was never an issue with him.
Who's like the nicest person in boxing? Most soundest.
There's been a few that I've been fairly surprised with. I was like, I imagine him to be even like Berlanga. Like I seen him all the flies and jazz and shouting and balling. Like with me, he was so bang on. Like there was no crosswords and I spoke to him after, but that's only because I was surprised at that. But the nicest person in boxing, I don't know. It's a hard call.
It's one of them ones who don't want to
No,
ruffle any like feathers.
no one really comes to mind. I know it's a shrewd business. It's a business full of false faces as well. So, but I would have to go along. Like my nutritionist, he's not involved in boxing, but just a great guy. Is Tony O'Neill.
Anthony O'Neill. Well, bro, thank you very much for coming on.
Cheers.
I appreciate it. Definitely a guest who we'll have back on in the future. But thank you very much, brother.
Good man, thank you.
Chat to
All
man.
the best.